We ran the program for about 70 people. 1 in 4 of this program had what is called a triple vessel disease, which means they had narrowing of 3 of the major heart arteries. 1 in 3 had more than 50% narrowing in one of their arteries with absolutely no symptoms. When you buy a house that's 40 years old, do you bring in the best decorators first, or do you check the foundation of the house first? You need a baseline for your health. You need to make sure that life-threatening disease is not developing and building up inside your body. That's the first line of defense. She said, oh my God, I'm gonna buy this for my husband as a Christmas gift. And I paused and I was like, at any point during our conversation, did you think this is for you? Cynically, nothing says I love you like gift of colonoscopy. You want to do cryotherapy? Fantastic. You want to have NAD drips and the endless list of longevity options. If it's scientifically proven, go crazy, but don't start the process from the end. Start from the foundation. You've had your health assessment baseline. You know what? The world is your oyster. The p-tau blood test, which can detect the presence of certain proteins in the blood and is an indicator of potential dementia, but years and years before symptoms start to appear. There are potential treatments that people can have that delay the symptoms by years and years and years.
Ahmed, tell us about Echelon and all the amazing work that you have done in the past years in London and the vision for the UAE.
Echelon Health has been established about 20 years ago. Our founder and medical director, Dr. Paul Jenkins, he was a doctor in the NHS. And he used to do a lot of ward rounds where he would see people with ailments and diseases that he thought was always preventable. It doesn't need to be like this. And he thought, okay, well, what if we built the world's most comprehensive health assessment? And I know that's a massive claim to make, but there is a scientific method of how we came about to build this health assessment. So we went to the Office of National Statistics in the United Kingdom, and we obtained the data for mortality. So in layman terms, what's everyone dying from? You know, people are dying, to be believed, early, before their time. Well, what are those diseases? And then we said, okay, well, what is scientifically the gold standard to detect for each and every one of those diseases? Not the common knowledge, not the common practice, not what fits a population-wide system, but what is for you as an individual, what is the gold standard? And this is how the platinum assessment, if you would, was born, which has the ability to detect up to 92% of the causes of early death in men and up to 95% in women. We had this claim independently verified as well by Dr. David Wilson, who is the past president of the British Institute of Radiology. There are a number of key elements that makes this highly comprehensive. Number one, we use the right modality for the relevant disease we're detecting. So there's lots of claims on the market of have a full body MRI, this is going to be fantastic. Don't get me wrong, any action we take to improve our health is fantastic. But if you want to look at it scientifically, you have to use the right modality for the relevant disease. If you want to see if you have heart problems, you want to do a CT coronary angiogram. If you want to check the thyroid, which a lot of people have problems with the thyroid, either overactive or underactive, you need to use ultrasound for that. Prostate for men, prostate cancer is a major problem, as you know. You need to do what is called a PSA blood test in combination with contrast MRI. Colon cancer, one of the most preventable cancers in the world because it takes years to develop, sometimes 7 years, 10 years. It grows from polyps that are found in the colon. You do a colonoscopy, or in our case, a virtual colonoscopy that has the benefits of no downtime, no sedation, less risk of perforation, and you can give people the peace of mind. If something is found, you can deal with it at an early enough stage that it doesn't cause you any problems, emotional, financial, and also means you can continue living your life. It became very quickly synonymous with, the best in the country. In the United Kingdom, our clients tend to come from various walks of life, typically senior professionals who are about to start a new chapter. They want to make sure that they're ready physically for the next chapter. A lot of senior lawyers and law firms, investment bankers, entrepreneurs, people who just selling a business or about to go into a big transaction. And unfortunately, a lot due to an incident that happened to a close friend or a family member. And our hope and our mission really is for that not to be the driver, but for people to make the decision early on to come and get checked and have that peace of mind. For the UAE, well, the UAE has made it its mission to talk about health and preventative health specifically, something that we're very passionate about. So it was very important for us to come to the UAE, be able to extend what we offer here as well to the residents of Dubai and the UAE and the wider Gulf region, if you would. But Dubai for us is the ideal hub because the technology is here, the latest MRIs, the latest CT, the latest ultrasounds. And what we're trying to do is combine both worlds, utilizing the latest technology, have the Harley Street London clinical expertise without having to leave Dubai.
So we have been in the market already for 3-4 months talking about Echelon Health. And the market questions are, what has Echelon as a difference, the assessment itself, what has as a difference with the longevity clinics that are now in the market doing these checkups, or the checkups that you have annually through your insurance, whatever the brand it is, or also like all these checkups? What is the difference with Echelon Health?
Okay, so for me, these are two different points, and I'll address them differently. And I actually have a fantastic blueprint for longevity, because I'm conscious, not just here, but all around the world, people talk about longevity, but it means different things for different people. But we'll talk about this next. The first thing, well, what's the difference? What's so special about this health assessment versus everything else? Most health assessments are statistical probability based. It's been developed for the purpose of detecting certain illness in a population. So the usual is you go, you sit with someone, a GP or a doctor, or sometimes not, and they ask you about your lifestyle habits. Do you smoke? Do you drink? Do you sleep? What are your stress levels like? And then they do a blood test, they make you run on a treadmill, and then they give you a report and they say, there you go, the possibility of you having a heart attack in the next 10 years is 10%. This doesn't mean anything to you as an individual. It puts you in a category within a risk category within the population. But for you individually, it doesn't provide much. The only way to look at you as an individual is to look inside your body, is to use the right modality for the relevant disease, is to cover head to toe, is for this to be reviewed by specialist radiologists. So a radiologist who looks at your brain scans for their whole life is the best person to determine your condition. So the use of specialist radiologist, the comprehensive nature, all of this is then summarized by a very senior doctor that puts everything into perspective and gives you a plan for the way forward. A lot of our clients are, well and fit, and what we detect are small things, but every now and then, and that's why it's important for the individual, you would detect something that could be life-changing that was presenting with zero symptoms. And these are, from a medical perspective, these are the clients we look for, where you can detect something and you can truly save someone's life. And, our website is full of testimonials from very prominent figures who are just appreciated what we do. And it's also very comprehensive that it's not something you do every year, you do every 3 years. Because if you're fine, you'll probably be fine for the next 3 years. Now back to the longevity question. Okay, I'm going to give you a blueprint for longevity. For me, longevity is anything you do, any activity you do to improve your health during your lifetime. Anything you do falls under the umbrella of longevity. The problem is that there are steps to longevity. There's the foundation, there is the habit that needs to transform, and then there's the add-ons. So it's always fascinating because people will take one element of longevity. Someone felt fantastic when they did hyperbaric chambers, and they say, this is my longevity path in life. I'm just going to do that for the rest of my life. That's fantastic. But let me give you an example. When you buy a house that's 40 years old, because that's when normally people start to think about their mortality. If you buy a 40 years old house, do you bring in the best decorators first, or do you check the foundation of the house first? You check the foundation. You make sure the house is solid. This is where that comprehensive health assessment lies. You need a baseline for your health. You need to make sure that life-threatening disease is not developing and building up inside your body without, that's the first line of defense. You have that cover, you have that assurance. Next, fix your sleep, fix your food, fix your stress level. And it's not about massive transformational change. Biohacking as a concept is about very small changes over an extended period of time. Make a choice not to eat after 7 p.m., 8 p.m. I know that's very difficult in this region and even for me, but just try. Make that choice one day a week. They say if you're above 40, then your plate should be split into one third salad, one third carbs, one third protein. If you're above 50 or 60, maybe it's half salad. Those tiny changes. If you want to get better sleep, then maybe put the mobile phone out of the room. If you decide, now it's bedtime. Little changes. You've had your health assessment baseline. You fixed your sleep. You fixed your nutrition. You fixed your stress levels. You know what? The world is your oyster. You want to optimize your performance? Great. You want to do cryotherapy? Fantastic. Good for you. You want to have NED drips and, all the endless list of longevity options? Go crazy. If it's scientifically proving and if it makes you feel better, do it. But don't start the process from the end. Start from the foundation.
Very interesting and very valuable that, because a lot of the trends right now, especially in the UAE and Saudi in the region, is the longevity and IV and the peptides and all of this. Regarding the facts, Echelon Health has been for a long time. We know that all the data is all classify as not going to be disclosed, but you have a certain amount of facts of the majority of the people that have been your members. Tell me a little bit of what is the surprising facts about that our audience should be listening to, because it's an alarm, a flag to actually consider this as a priority.
So we work with a lot of individuals, as we said, but we also work with a lot of corporate companies. So some CEOs would come to us, maybe even on an individual basis, have our platinum assessment, see the benefit, and decide to roll it out to the rest of their team. We do anonymized clinical audit with certain populations. So statistic. I give you a very interesting case study. We've had a designated heart health program for a company, and we ran the program for about 70 people. They're all 40 plus, your typical stats, overworked, not very good eating habits, probably don't sleep well, probably highly stressed, mostly men and some women in the group. We ran our cardiac program and we found that one in four of this program had what is called a triple vessel disease, which means they had narrowing of 3 of the major heart arteries with absolutely no symptoms. 1 in 3 had more than 50% narrowing in one of their arteries. And again, no symptoms. Now, what does that mean? Great. We found that. Fantastic. What does that mean? It means we can stop a heart attack. It means we can delay a heart attack. It means we can get them on a path to slow the acceleration of this, depending on the factor that caused it, lifestyle, hereditary, pure chance. It means we know exactly where everyone stands, and we can institute a treatment, an effective treatment plan for those people. And to our surprise, when we gave them those results, to the anonymized results, they invited us to speak in their division head meeting. And everyone was very forthcoming with their own result. By the way, I had that, and oh my God, I didn't know. And it's fantastic. It just transformed the conversation within that organization, and it became all about keeping healthy and helping each other to stay healthy. So we found it to be fascinating.
Very interesting. Echelon Health doesn't do just, you haven't organized the program just as a test, but you have organized and strategized the process of the member in such a way that is the most efficient sequence of tests, and holistically doctors are going to be providing you with all these reports that are very valuable. Can you please give us a little bit of information why Echelon Health have only concentrated to be the business of a medical health assessment and not extension to treatments or hospitals or doctors and so? And also tell us a little bit about the amount of tests that someone can customize or that you can cover with the main program that we have.
Okay, I'll try to break it down a little bit. First, one of the important things after the clinical excellence, or having it, at least scientifically based, what we do, one of the things that was very important for our clients was efficiency. These are very busy people. They're not going to take 2 or 3 days out of their schedule to come and have a health assessment. So it's done in 5.5 hours. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. You're out by 1:30. All the tests are done. There is no downtime. A lot of our clients either finish and want to celebrate and go do a bit of shopping, or they're in a hurry and they go back to the office. So it's that efficient. It starts with the pre-planning. There's a bit of a dietary requirement for about 48 hours before because of the virtual colonoscopy, which if you follow on the day, you come fasting, you go through the first set of tests, then you have your lunch, we continue with the tests, and you leave. Everything happens then in the background. All of the radiologist, all the reporting, all the discussions with the doctor, everything happens in the background. And within a week, you're spending an hour with a doctor. Look, most of us spend our lives without having the chance to sit with a doctor for 1 hour. I mean, especially people in the UK would understand that. It's hard enough getting a GP appointment, for months, let alone when you're there for 10 minutes. So in this hour, you get a blueprint. Oh, you literally get a booklet of invaluable data about every inch of your body. And the doctor breaks it down in a very friendly way, in a non-complicated, non-jargon kind of way, and you have the chance to ask all the questions you want to ask. And then that's your plan for moving ahead. Now, if something is found, then what? Then most of our clients who are insured, then we give them a referral letter, then they take that to their insurance company. Some clients would want to go private, and in that case, again, we give them the support they need to go private. Some ask us for our recommendation, and we have, for lack of a better word, our black book of consultants that we send our family to. Back to your question, Echelon Health has zero commercial arrangement with anyone we refer our clients to. The only determining factor, am I confident to send my wife, my father, my mother to this doctor? And if the answer is yes, then that's what we recommend. So that's why we don't try also to extend our services to a lot of the longevity elements, because if we can't prove it scientifically, we don't want to necessarily be involved with it.
And regarding the test, the amount of tests that you are able to see in that report, but also, let's say, one of our prospect members have requested a special test for allergies or hormones, for example, for women that are maybe pre-menopause. They want to know where is their stage. Or maybe men wants to have a certain test of their testosterone, so specific things that, can we customize the test? Tell us a little bit about that.
I love when you ask these questions, because when we say this is one of the most comprehensive health assessments, if not the most, we really mean it. So the answer to all of your questions is yes. Our health assessment already has an allergy profile for all of our clients. Hormones, as you mentioned, very important, very crucial. So we have what is called, for our female clients, we have what is called hormone staging. So whether it's a perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause, we test for the levels of estrogen and progesterone and also testosterone. A lot of women don't necessarily know that levels of testosterone exist in women and they have to be measured, and they're very important for their energy level, for sexual drive, for all sorts of things. So this forms part of our existing health assessment. However, if a client comes to us and asks for specific tests for something that they may be concerned about, absolutely, we could definitely accommodate that.
Another question that we have received from the market is why 40 plus and not 35? We have seen sometimes in the news young people of 26, of 30 or 35 having cancer in some organs and things like that. Tell us a little bit about that requirement.
Look, everything that has to do with health is about risk and reward, right? We use a multitude of modality that includes CT. CT carries radiation, right? If you use the latest machine like we do, that is supported by AI, then you spend less time. There's probably less radiation exposure. However, it is a risk, right? That people have to make that decision for themselves. Younger than 40, it becomes a bit more difficult to justify because 99.9% of people are going to be fine. But that's why we built in an under 40 health assessment dedicated to the younger generation. Also focused more on the ailments or the diseases that are more prevalent in the younger generation. For the over 40, this is the stage where people start to take count of their life. So far, I want to make a change. But if you're doing it preventatively, and there are certain diseases that are more relevant to younger people, then we've created a health assessment just for this category.
One of the things that sparked my curiosity when we met for the first time is that you were telling me that a variety of people book this actually for others, meaning me for my mom or me for my husband. Yes. As a gift, as like a very caring gift for exactly. My loved ones. Tell us a little bit about, we know that you work with corporates, with individuals, but tell us a little bit about the extension that have been the demand or the natural organic request from your members.
Okay, it's very fascinating. When we started number of years ago, most of our clients were men. About 80% of our clients were men and only 20% were women. So we made it our mission to focus on women. It's very, very important. It's equally important, if not more. Women tend to, be the carers for everyone around them. And we thought they should look after themselves as well. I was speaking with a senior partner in a law firm, an exceptionally well-accomplished lady. And I was telling her about what we do. And after I finished, speaking with her, she said, "Oh my God, do you know what? I'm going to buy this for my husband as a Christmas gift." And I paused and I was like, at any point during our conversation, did you think this is for you? She's like, "Oh, no, I actually didn't." And so, especially with our, female clients, the tendency is to, "Oh my God, my husband needs to do this." But no, this is equally important for men and women. I'm very happy to say that we're now almost, our clients are 50-50. So 50% women and 50% men, which is fantastic to see. From a social, humane level, it's funny because it's people worrying about other people, people prioritizing other people. If someone reads one of our, articles in a newspaper, then the conversation at the breakfast table on Saturday morning or Sunday morning is, "Honey, you should have this," not "I should have this." But it's now the reverse because the ladies are telling their husbands or their partners, "You have to," and the husbands are telling their wives or their partners, "You have to." So we're seeing a massive rise in couples. Let's share this, experience together. I mean, cynically, nothing says "I love you" like a gift of colonoscopy, but it is an experience.
But it's very interesting also because some of the meetings that we were talking with family offices. We were talking with Will, like a company that does wills. And at the end of the day, health is in the center of family, of caring, even from corporates towards their senior managers, senior management, they are carried. It's as you were saying, is something thoughtful that you do for the ones that you love. Like we were also talking in our cultures, the mom is also always the one that is taking care of everyone in the family about the health, about the checkups, about the doctor appointments, the vitamins, and all this kind of thing. So it makes totally sense. In terms of the corporate, tell us a little bit who at the moment are your clientele, from where they're coming, just to give like a guidance on corporates, how corporates are leaning towards taking care of the health of boards and C-suite.
Look, I don't envy corporates. I really don't. And I don't envy their HR team and the level of information that they have to absorb just to be able to make the decision for what health provider to choose for their population and what to do. Everyone claims to be the best, and people are not. You don't have doctors sitting on HR panels or boards, and so it becomes very difficult. And so everyone seems to follow what the other companies are doing. I've had this insurance company, so I'm just going to bring them again. I worked with these guys before, so I'm just going to bring them again. But sometimes, and we see this primarily driven from CEOs, if the CEO is health conscious, the board is health conscious, and the HR team is health conscious. For me, from our experience, it starts with the CEO of the business. If he or she are looking after themselves, the entire board is looking after themselves, and he or she will do the research to say, well, how can I really, truly choose the best provider for my people, for my board, and for the rest of the team as well. But, you can have different categories. So most of our corporate clients, it started as a CEO coming to do the health assessment and going, my board needs to have this. My division heads needs to have this. What can we do for the rest of the team? And it accelerates like that. It starts with one person, then it moves to the board, then it moves to the division head. And with some companies, we do all their employees. We create a bespoke health assessment. So it's a massive task, but what's important when we talk about the United Arab Emirates, it's that the government is now putting this forward. It's saying, are you guys putting prevention or preventative medicine, on your agenda? And naturally, that kind of alerts people. It draws their attention to the topic. And this is when people start doing their research.
And it links very well with the response and the previous question. It's about caring. Is that caring from the CEO for their employees, for their staff, for the people that are making happen their companies? So it follows that pattern of that human side. Just one last question. We have a special, added to the program, the dementia part. And speaking about the UAE, I know that the program here in the UAE have been tailor-made in some subjects to the population, especially because vitamin D, I think that everyone living in the UAE have a result of a vitamin D. But tell us a little bit about how Echelon have actually studied the market, have studied the population, and provide a tailor-made program for the region.
Look, there's not a lot of variation between the main causes of mortality, to choose a different word, in many countries. It's always cardiovascular disease. Always for cardiovascular disease, followed by cancer of all sorts. But when we came here, because of the weather and maybe the life that's primarily indoors, we've added a lung test called spirometry. We do a CT of the lungs anyway, which is the gold standard. But spirometry is more about lung capacity and any lung disease that is early stages that has the propensity to maybe progress in the future. That's something we added. The allergy test is also unique to here. Versus in London, which we can do it if people ask for it, but here it's a box standard part of our comprehensive health assessment. Dementia is very important, and we thought it should be an integral part of what we do here. Dementia has been a topic. It's a very emotional topic. It's a terrible, terrible ailment. It takes a very long time to progress, and it's a very human ailment, because it's literally the person you know is just slowly fading away. And for a very long time, what happened when you detected the existence or the potential of someone to get Alzheimer? Nothing. There was no treatment, right? But recently, just in the last year or two, there is hope. There's massive hope for Alzheimer. But what is the gold standard to detect for it at the earliest possible stage? Well, three things. One is an MRI of the brain, right? To test the volume of the brain, the volume of the white matter in the brain, to see that, the presence of amyloid, which is a later stage that could be detected with PET-CT, but also to do a neurocognitive test. So you sit with a consultant neurologist that asks you to remember things and draw certain shapes, and it's called the ACE3 test, and it has about 95% level of accuracy. And then we added a number of blood tests specific to detecting cognitive function, like vitamin B12. So something. As we get older, we tend to forget things. I walk into my kitchen every now and then, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Right? We all start to have that, and we all worry. But some vitamin deficiency can mimic symptoms of Alzheimer's. If you have a massive vitamin B12 deficiency, for example, it can affect your memory. So we're not just looking for Alzheimer, we're looking what could be affecting your memory, and we're trying to fix it, right? The biggest leap forward is something called the p-tau blood test, which can detect the presence of certain proteins in the blood, and is an indicator of potential dementia, but years and years before symptoms start to appear. So the p-tau test, we get it done here in Dubai. It gets analyzed in Germany, and that's why it's one of the tests that may take up to 3 weeks, but it's an accurate test. It's the latest technology. I've heard the government of Dubai also talking about it, and it's an integral part of our health assessment, because now there are treatments. There are potential treatments that people can have that delay the symptoms by years and years and years. And unfortunately, it's a bit expensive because it's still new, but the more research, once you have 2 or 3 treatments, more research will happen. It will become cheaper, and better treatments will be out in the market as well.
Amazing. Just as a last point, I would like you to invite the viewers to learn more about Echelon and give them a little bit of a note.
Okay, a shameless plug.
Yes.
All right, well, here's my shameless plug. I would say all of the information needed to know what we do is on our website. It's echelonhealth.ae or echelon.health, not .com, .health. You'll find a fantastic body map where you can find out exactly what diseases we detect, why we do the tests we do, and what they're designed for, and exactly what we detect as well. There's a lot of explanation. You'll find some fantastic testimonials from, loved characters around the world, from very famous people who would normally be shy to talk about these things, but they found it transformational enough to give us their feedback. So we always say, you know what? Spend 10 minutes on the website. You'll, if anything, you'll gain a lot of knowledge about preventative medicine.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.